live-action Beyblade film. Now, you guys know, I've talked a lot over the past, I don't know, year and a half about live-action series coming out. We've got a lot of animes turned into live-action, and Paramount is a company that has made quite a few lately. We know that they are making the Fairly Odd Parents, live action that looks like an absolute disaster. We know that they are also doing the Halo live action series, which, guys, I would hope would be good. But now we're finding out they're doing a live action Beyblade film, and I suppose my first question would be, who the fuck decided that this was a good idea? And my second question would be, who the fuck would actually pay for this? Who looked at this idea and went, wow, that truly and genuinely is a great idea? I don't think anyone would do that. We're gonna be talking about the Batman a little bit. As you guys know, the Batman releases this week and the critic reviews are out. And surprisingly, right now, the critic reviews are actually pretty good. Now, take all these critic reviews with a grain of fucking salt, okay? Because usually when critic reviews are high, user reviews are low, or vice versa, and maybe this movie will be fantastic. I'm personally looking forward to the Batman movie, but I wanted to talk about the current Rotten Tomatoes score of it. We're going to be talking about something that just happened today. It was announced only a couple of hours ago, and that is that Crunchyroll is adding all of Funimation's anime content to Crunchyroll, and Sony is starting to phase out the Funimation brand. Now, I talked about this back in December 2020 when it was announced that AT&T confirmed the sale of Crunchyroll to Sony's Funimation for over $1 billion. And since then, we've just kind of been sitting in limbo. There's been a lot of small news, I guess we'll say, lots of like small updates, and there hasn't been a lot of big information releasing until today, because they are basically saying they are phasing out Funimation and just rolling it all into Crunchyroll. Thank you, random name. And that's my attitude. You stay for the eyebrows. Well, thank you, random name, for the $10 donation. Much appreciated. Thank you. Yeah, that is always my kind of general attitude, isn't it? Huh? Oh boy. Maybe if I was like nicer, more ooh-woo, maybe people would like me more. Maybe I wouldn't get banned on Twitter. I don't know. But yeah, we're gonna talk about this big situation, and we're gonna be talking about Elden Ring. As you guys know, Elden Ring released last week. I have been streaming my own first playthrough of it, and I've had a ton of fun with it. I've done 2 streams so far, 10 hours streams, and I've been enjoying the game so far. There are some issues, like the quality and the issues that it faces, stuttering, lag, graphical problems, but a couple of days ago I talked about how journalists are basically trying their very best to find a reason to fucking hate Elden Ring. They've said, oh, it's too difficult, oh, it's rooted in the sexism and racism and misogyny of the Dark Souls franchise and From Software. They said that it failed black players. I mean, they are trying to come up with every reason under the sun for people to hate Elden Ring, and I hilariously found out about a few new articles, like this one from The Verge, titled, Elden Ring's world is full of mystery, but I'd rather wait for a guide. A motherfucking game journalist. A game journalist literally saying, I'm not gonna waste my time playing the game when I could wait for a guide. What the what? Guys, game journalists are supposed to play games and review them and talk about them, and they're literally saying As a game journalist, I'm not gonna play it until someone else puts out a guide for it. How could you ever admit that publicly? That's your whole spiel. That's your whole shtick. Is literally saying, oh hey, I can play games and I'm gonna write about them. But they're admitting that they're not actually gonna play it until people have guides on them? Bruh. And also, side topic, I wanted to talk about how the OneRing.net photoshopped Lenny Henry onto Bilbo Baggins' body. If you guys don't know, Lenny Henry is supposed to be playing a darker-skinned Harfoot in the Rings of Power, and we haven't seen any official images with him yet as a Harfoot, in character, any of that. But they decided to Photoshop his face onto Bilbo Baggins' body. Imagine, just fucking imagine the goddamn outrage. If I took a black character and I Photoshopped a white person's face onto it, oh my god. I would be canceled. Anyone who did that would instantly be canceled. Careers ruined. So those are the topics we're going to talk about tonight. Hi guys. How are you all doing? I hope everyone's doing good. Welcome to the live stream. Again, random name. Thank you for starting off the stream with a $10 donation. Hi guys. How are you all doing? I hope everyone's doing good. Boy, oh boy. It has been a definitely very interesting week so far. Definitely an interesting week so far. Lots of interesting things to talk about. A guide, get good, motherfucker. I mean, I understand completely, totally, if people want guides to play games, right? Like, even games that I've played before, like, I've used guides. I'm not someone who's against guides or, like, people playing games and telling people how to do things in games. No, not at all whatsoever. But a literal game journalist, is saying, I'm not gonna play a game until a guide is out. How fucking pathetic is that? That's terrible. That's terrible. What's a Harfoot? A Harfoot is a breed of hobbit, which were, technically, I will give them that. I will give Amazon that. Harfoots were described as darker of skin. I believe that's the phrase that Tolkien used. They had darker of skin. I had said that in, I believe it was yesterday's video. Yesterday's video when I talked about the feminist activist Tolkien scholar attacking Rings of Power critics. That is one thing I will give Amazon, is that, yes, there were hobbits, specifically Harfoots, that were darker of skin. But to literally Photoshop the actor's face onto another actor's body, and I personally don't give a fuck. That's not my problem. My problem is that if it was the other way around, and if it was a black person's body or a black character's body and they photoshopped a white person's face on it, people would be absolutely fucking furious. There would be people on social media who would be absolutely outraged, terrified, disgusted. Oh my god, how could you do this? That's so terrible of you. But it's okay when they do it. You know, rules for thee, but not for me. But yeah, we'll get started in a minute or two. Chat, how's everyone doing? It's just small dick energy levels of journalism. Honestly, true. It really fucking is small dick energy. I mean, like, again, I'm perfectly fine with people using guides. Like, I've used guides before. I'm not sitting here going, if I get fucking good scrub, learn everything in a game yourself. No. Like, if you really do want to use a guide, go for it. But when a journalist whose whole spiel is, I write about video games and I play video games, yet they're literally saying, I'm not gonna play a video game until there's a guide for it, it doesn't make sense to me. Also, Ding, ding, ding. This is the same person who wrote the article the other day that I talked about in a video titled Elden Ring's character creator fails black players. They were mad that there weren't enough hairstyles that they liked, that they thought were good, and they basically attacked From Software for not doing good enough. So it's the same person. Wow, imagine my shock.gif, you know what I'm saying, chat? It's game journalists who should be writing guides for normal players to use, but instead it's a game journalist wanting a normal player to write a guide for a game that they can write about. I mean, I don't understand that mentality. I'm sorry. I don't get it. I don't get it. Double standards, basically. Yeah, 100%. Nobody reads game guides. I disagree. I definitely think that there's people who read game guides and read about specific secrets that are in games and read about, you know, hidden areas in games, especially a game like Elden Ring that's so massive, that's got so many secrets, so many bosses, so many different areas. I definitely don't think that it's bad that people want a guide. It's just you're a game journalist. You're the one that's supposed to be writing the guide for people. But it is what it is. I guess if that's what they want to complain about in an article, I'm fine with that, because ultimately I'm just gonna roast the shit out of them. Works for me. I read game guides. Yeah, I don't think the game guides are bad. Yeah, honestly, in my opinion, it doesn't, I don't see how it makes any sense. I just don't. I like guides. I don't really use guides much anymore unless I'm looking for something specific or a secret or an area that's kind of hidden. But to each their own. Everyone is able to do what they want to do.
Christopher donated $5.
Oh no.
Once you get your freedom phone, you can be the fastest game journalist ever.
The fastest game journalist ever? Do you mean the best? The bestest? What do you mean the fastest? Thank you, Christopher, for the $5 donation. Freedom phone, guys, I ordered 40 of them, okay? When are they coming in? Freedom phone, oh no. All I think about when I think about the Freedom phone is the CEO, Grim. By the way, I don't know if your messages are sending, but you're like spamming that link. Guys, I don't know why, but whenever I think of the Freedom phone, I think of the CEO. Yeah, I think he was the CEO. The CEO that was in the ad, where he literally looks like he's wearing an outfit from Walmart. That's the only thing that I can think of when I think of the Freedom phone. Alright, guys. So, game journalists are clowns. Game journalists are kind of clowns, I'm gonna be honest. They're like, I'll be generous and say 5% of game journalists are good. And that's very generous. But alright, guys, let's get started with the first topic of the evening, which is going to be Beyblade. Now, over the years, we have seen a lot of things be taken and be turned into live action series. And I like live action adaptations, do not get me wrong. But more often than not, they're terrible. I am fine with companies taking the idea of anime and video games and turning them into live actions, but unfortunately, most of the time, they are absolutely trash. Let's look at things like Cowboy Bebop. It was an anime. They took it. They tried to turn it into this big live action series, and it ended up being a fucking disaster. Let's look at Death Note. That was also a giant failure. And we know that there's been quite a few different series potentially floating around. Lots of rumors floating around for series that could be turned into live actions. And we know that there's the Powerpuff Girls. Oh, they're taking the Powerpuff Girls and they're changing around the story. They're turning them into live actions. We know that Disney takes a lot of things, turns them into live actions, like Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, Cinderella, all the, like, the Disney princesses. We know that they are taking Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, and they're changing Snow White, and now there's no Seven Dwarves, because it's too offensive. And what other series or live actions? Guys, come on, I'm sure we could list a bunch of them. Oh, and Fairly Odd Parents, talked about that. I think it was last week, how they're taking the Fairly Odd Parents and they're turning that into a live action. We know that Halo is coming out and they're turning that into a live action. Oh my fucking god. But Jerry Bruckheimer and Paramount have announced that they are producing a live action Beyblade film. Listen, guys. Listen. I understand that some series come out and they're not supposed to specifically be for adults, right? Look at the Fairly Odd Parents, okay? We could say that that's for a younger audience. That's for, younger teenagers / older kids. But the problem with that is that there's so many references to the original series. There's so much, like, nostalgia there that they're trying to capitalize on, right? And with Beyblade, I feel like it's kind of the same thing. I feel like when you hear about Beyblade, I don't know how many kids these days care about Beyblade, like Beyblade. I don't know how popular it is with the youngins, you know what I'm saying? I feel like Beyblade is something very nostalgic for a lot of people. Now, my next question would be, who the fuck decided that this needed a live-action film? Because I truly don't know. So it says, in a move that has taken everyone by absolute surprise, Paramount has announced plans to produce a live-action film based on the popular Japanese toy line, Beyblades. Beyblades are cool. Beyblades are awesome. Look at everything else that's cool and awesome. Do we need a Pokemon live actions? Do we need Yu-Gi-Oh live actions? Do we need Hot Wheels live actions? Where it's like it's supposed to be for kids, but it's also supposed to capitalize on nostalgia? No. It says announced via Deadline on February 24th, and I hadn't heard about this. It says the silver screen debut of the Battletop franchise will be scripted by Neil Widener and Gavin James, both of whom hold announced roles as the writers for both Now You See Me 3 and San Andreas 2 as their only Hollywood credits. Unfortunately, little is known regarding the plot details, as the trade news outlet notes the production is currently being kept under wraps, so we know absolutely nothing about this film besides, hey, it's announced. It's gonna be released sometime sort of in the future, if they don't scrap it first. It says, first released in 1990. Oh no, it put an ad over the words. What the heck? First released in 1999, the Beyblades franchise revolves around the battles fought between players. I'm sure you all know what Beyblades are or have a general idea of what Beyblades are. Beyblades are pretty popular. Don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting here saying Beyblades are stupid and everyone hates them. No, that's definitely not the case. I mean, Beyblades got plenty of manga series, got TV show. People like Beyblades. I mean, they've sold pretty well. But what the fuck? Beyblade live action movie? That's too much for me. That is too much for me, Chad. It says this manga series would go on to serve as the basis for 3 seasons of the franchise's widely known anime adaptation, Beyblade, Beyblade V-Force, Beyblade G-Revolution. I like Beyblade. Like, don't get me wrong, like, the original Beyblade anime adaptation, it wasn't bad, but, like, V-Force, G-Revolution, it got too convoluted for me. There were too many storylines, too many characters, too much going on. I mean, it's kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I was really into Yu-Gi-Oh! At one point, so, like, I watched the anime, I understood it, but I feel like you have to be pretty into it to actually care about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Show. But it says, in light of its popularity, Beyblades would also receive 2 respective spin-off anime based on the toy line's Metal and Burst expansion. So yeah, I mean, Beyblades are popular, do not get me wrong, but this is my biggest worry here, chap, is Paramount, okay? Paramount has 2 live actions in the works right now that seem like they're gonna be disasters, and we haven't seen them yet. Maybe they'll be fucking amazing, do not get me wrong. Number 1 is the Fairly Odd Parents. We know that Paramount is putting on Paramount Plus the Fairly Odd Parents live action / CGI show. I talked about that in a video last week. Sounds absolutely terrible. It's one of those shows where it's like, haha, it's got younger characters and like it's supposed to be for kids like the original show was, but haha, it's also got a shit ton of nostalgia bait for the people who previously watched it, and it looks like nightmare fuel. And second of all, Paramount is doing Halo, and this is the one I'm most worried about. I love Halo, lots of nostalgia for Halo, I love all the Halo games, want Halo TV show to be amazing, but we know that they're changing a lot. Like, for the first time in the franchise's history, they're having Master Chief take off his helmet, which is very worrying. It sounds not so promising. They're race-swapping characters, like the Keys, Miranda Keys, Jacob Keys, they're race-swapping them. They are making a lot of changes. They're taking a lot of creative liberties and running with the flow to make the franchise more diverse, inclusive, making changes they think are gonna go well. In my opinion, those things do not sound very promising, but Paramount is the one doing those other live actions. I'm gonna be honest, if this Beyblade film fails, I will not really care that much, but the only reason why I will care is because I think it will be absolutely fucking hilarious to laugh at. I would love to dunk on it, and I think that it would be absolutely hilarious. It is sad for people that have tons of nostalgia for Beyblade. RIP, my friends and individuals out there who love Beyblade. I'm personally kind of like, I could live without it, but I'd still like watch it if it was good. But that's all that I really had to discuss with that. We don't know any other details, but Paramount is producing a live action Beyblade film, which makes absolutely no fucking sense to me. I think that this is going to be yet another live action disaster. I think that it's going to be another giant failure in the book of live actions. Guys, I need to sit down and come up with a whole list of live action, anime turn into live action, video games, whatever the case may be, because I feel like there has been a lot, and I talk about the whole live action situation quite a bit here on the channel, but I feel like there's always ones that like I'll mention in a video, then I'll kind of forget about, then I'll have to remember a couple months later and be like, oh yeah, I wish I had talked about that more. There's Cowboy Bebop, there's all the Resident Evil movies, some are good, some are bad. Oh my god, there's just so many different things, and like I want these movies to come out and be good, do not get me wrong. But how much faith should we have in them? I don't really think that much, to be honest. I feel like none of these companies have good track records. None of these live action adaptations have been particularly amazing. Like, The Witcher was really good, don't get me wrong, but we see how much money they put into it. We see how much they dedicated to it. And that's why it was pretty good, and even that had problems. But that's all that I had to discuss with that. As the months and potentially years go on, if I'm not dead by then, I'll talk about the Beyblade live action film, and if they end up canceling it, I will find a way, I will hack the systems, and I will find the non-released copy of it. So we're gonna move on to the Batman in just a minute, chat. Very fun. Thank you, Scootmeister, for the $4.99 super chat. The problem is taking off Chief's helmet isn't that bad, but they're probably going to do the Boba Fett route and do it over and over. Very true. If they take his helmet off once, to me it's still kind of a problem because, again, it's the first time in the franchise it's happened. I wish it had happened in maybe a game first. But right, I feel like they're gonna pull the Boba Fett where it just feels very unnatural, like it's not supposed to happen. Doing it once for a specific reason, like at the end of Mandalorian Season 1 where they took his helmet off because he was basically dying, like that's okay, like I understand that. But taking it off over and over and pushing it in your face is a problem. But thank you for the $4.99, much appreciated. Witcher's entertaining for what it is. Me and my father watch. I like the Witcher show, don't get me wrong. I think that the Witcher show has a lot going for it, but they did make some changes. They didn't follow the source material as well as they could have. So, on one hand, yeah, like, some of it's good. It still has its problems, like most series do. Hello, Drunk 3PL. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Hi, Vera. Hello, Drunk. How are you doing? Hope your evening's going well. But yeah, live action Beyblade. Just fucking don't. Just don't. On to better things, though. Batsy. I don't know, guys. Listen, Robert Pattinson. Listen, can we just get Affleck back? I feel excited for this movie, right? I want it to be good. I like Batman. He's one of my favorites. Robert Pattinson. I mean, the only worse option is Timothée Chalamet. And don't you dare give anyone any ideas, because we know he's Hollywood's golden boy now. I swear. If they... I don't even want to talk about it and put it into the world. But if they ever make Timothée Chalamet Batman, that's it. I'm retiring forever. That's it for me. No, that's just gonna be a no from me. I am cautiously optimistic about the Batman. I agree. I'm cautiously optimistic. It's so far, I've enjoyed all the trailers, right? It sounds pretty cool. I might go and see it in theaters. But I'm also very worried. Sparkle Batman, yeah, listen, it just sounds like a terrible thing. It really does. How can they make live action Beyblade fight scenes actually good? That's a trick question, because they can't. That's why it's not gonna go well, because I do not... Oh, Christopher, listen. Christopher, listen. Don't even put that into the universe. Timothée Chalamet should be the next Superman. You're done. You're canceled. Wrench getting taken away. Guys, looking for a new mod. Canceled. Banned. Exiled. Don't even. In my opinion, it'd be worse to have him as Batman, because I like Batman a tiny bit more. If I had to pick life or death. But let's not put that into the universe, guys. We do not want that. We do not want that. Robert Pattinson is a great actor in other projects. True. I did like The Lighthouse. I think that there have been things that he has been good in, do not get me wrong. But he has one, in my opinion, kind of vibe to him, and that's brooding, grumpy, dark, mysterious. I feel like he doesn't have anything besides that going for him. If he's not that, he's not good. Alright, guys. So let's talk a little bit about Batman. Now, you guys know I love Batman. He is awesome. He's great. I am for the Bat. But with this new The Batman movie, there's been a lot of worry about the direction that they were going to take it in, the story that they were going to go with, the atmosphere they were going to put into this movie. And so far, I will be honest, I've watched all of the Batman trailers, and I've enjoyed them. I have slowly but surely become more and more excited for this film. Initially, I was very skeptical because, of course, with standalone movies, I'm personally not a huge fan of standalone movies most of the time. Like, The Joker was amazing. It worked. It was really good. Now we've got The Batman. We don't know what they're going to do. There's been no sequels confirmed. There has been a TV show confirmed for the Penguin in this universe, so it does seem like they want to do more with it, which is good. But a lot of people, again, have been pretty worried about this movie. We weren't sure how they were going to portray Batman and Bruce Wayne, what they were going to change, the atmosphere that they were going to have, and the review scores, at least the critic scores, are out for this. Now, of course, whenever we talk about critic scores and user scores, take it with a grain of salt, okay? Because sometimes the critic scores will be amazing, they'll be 85, 90, 95%, and the audience scores will be terrible. The audience scores will be like half of that, if they're lucky. And sometimes it's vice versa. Sometimes the critic scores will be really low and the audience scores will be extremely high. So I wanted to show off the critic scores that are here right now, because right now they're looking very good. It is sitting at an 87% out of 195 reviews. And we're not going to read all of the reviews, because I don't get paid enough to sit here and read 195 reviews. That would be a whole live stream. Do not get paid enough for that. But we could read some of the top critics. This is interesting, though. All critics is 87%, but the top critics is a 76%. Very interesting. So we'll have to see. But let me in. Let me in. But I wanted to read just a couple of them and kind of go through the early reviews from critics. Quickly, though, thank you, Hurin, for the CA5. I think Pattinson would make a good Nightwing with Affleck as Batman. Oh my god. Listen, it will never happen. It will never, ever, ever happen. But I think Pattinson will make a good Nightwing. I don't know. I'm very hopeful that he will make a good Batman. But I really liked Affleck. I am one of those people. You either really liked him as Batsy, or you really didn't like him as Batsy. I really did like him as Batsy. Okay, guys. So let's read just a couple. First one is a 3.5 out of 4. This Batman, played by Robert Pattinson, is our goth Bruce Wayne. Okay, great way to start this off. More disaffected youth than Playboy billionaire, and that allows Reeves as a director to play with all kinds of grim imagery, and as a writer to grapple with the real function of Batman. I do know that he had said, I believe it was the director or producer, had said that with this version of Batman in this movie, they were trying to make it as realistic as possible. Obviously, it's going to have some fantasy elements to it. It's going to have some craziness to it. It's a superhero movie at the end of the day. But they tried to make it very realistic, like more realistic tech, more realistic villains. That is always kind of a worrying statement to me, because while I understand that clearly with this Batman movie they're trying to make it the next Joker, that can be really good or it can be really bad. Goth Batman, I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. Put Robert Pattinson in eyeliner. That's pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie. He's definitely only like a 7 out of 10. I mean, he's not the most attractive Batman. Val Kilmer, I don't want to get started with this conversation. You guys know. Batsy Val? That's my bats. But the next one is a 3.5 out of 4. At a time when many comic book franchises are seeking to go bigger with cosmic beings and multiverses, the Batman's down-to-earth approach offers a welcome reprieve. This is the thing, is that, again, I like the idea of there being more of a realistic, gritty superhero movie. I like that. The Joker was very well done. But are they going to make the Batman the next Joker? I don't know. 4.5 out of 5. For those of you who wondered if another reboot could find itself an audience after Christopher Nolan did such a fine job with his trilogy, please wonder no more. The next one is Rotten. The Batman is a needless collage of not only better movies, but more egregiously of better Batman. That's kind of weird writing there, journalist. Movies as director co-writer Matt Reeves and co-writer Peter Craig create an utterly inferior and infuriating vision of The Dark Knight. Ah, yes, that doesn't sound very good. Settle down, I know. I'm sorry, chat. Matt Reeves excellent new film introduces us to the fourth live-action cinematic incarnation of The Dark Knight. I can't say I had a good time, but I did end up somewhere I didn't expect to be, looking forward for the next chapter. So that to me is a problem, because, like, they're saying they didn't have a good time, but they're also looking forward to the next movie. That to me sounds like you had a good time, and like it was pretty good. Don't you guys think? Robert Pattinson puts an emo spin. Motherfucker, I don't want an emo spin. This is... everyone's just describing him as an emo. Is that the only shtick they had with this movie? Listen, Robert Pattinson. We are getting you to play Batsy for one reason and one reason only. Because you are just such a good emo actor. Like, is that all they went into with this film? Because it seems like it is. You're either enjoying it because he's emo, or you're not enjoying it because he's emo. It says this is a Batman movie that really embraces something the comics have done, which is Batman is the true identity, and Bruce Wayne is the facade. Okay, we'll see. Maybe. Nolan's legacy can't be shaken off, but the tweaks are something. So they're basically... This is a little bit of an issue, I personally think. Because while, yes, obviously, you want to compare different versions of characters and different takes on characters and their movies and origin stories to other films that have been done. But at the same time, when all you're doing is comparing, you're never going to see the good and the individuality of these new movies. Like, yes, I understand to a certain degree you want to compare it to the Dark Knight trilogy because that was great, everyone loved it, and you want to basically, for new movies to be a step up from that with these characters. But at the same time, when all you're doing is comparing and going, well, this movie did it better and this movie didn't do what this movie did, you're never going to be able to see the individuality of this film. The Batman fires on all cylinders and commits to its darkest impulses without losing sight of the light at the core of its protagonist, a 4 out of 5. So lots of 3 out of 5s, 4 out of 5s, lots of positivity here. This is a 2.5 out of 4. It says underlit and overblown is the formidable combination, though not necessarily in the way Reeves intended, so they didn't like it. Let's read a couple of the negative Nancy's over here. Fucking negative ass Nancy's. Underlit and overblown is a formidable combination. I already read that. What the fuck? Mark Feeney, Boston Glen. Oh, of course it's Boston. Puts the Batman characters into a forgettable B- serial killer thriller, one with a needlessly convoluted plot, too many characters, unconvincing twists, and a terrible villain. I thought there's multiple villains, isn't there? Maybe there's, like, they lean on one specific villain, which is the Riddler. The Batman is an okay film that thinks it's excellent. It's also so inspired by Fincher's 2 exceptional pictures about serial killers that I'm surprised it didn't call itself... Oh no. The Bat-7 Man. It's supposed to be Batman. Spelled differently. Wow, you're so punny. Performances were emotional and raw in The Batman, but you're gonna get a very broody Batman that never smiles. The Batman is not kid-friendly for younger ones. Of course it's not kid-friendly for younger ones. It's about people walking around murdering other people. What? This isn't Marvel. Don't bring your kids to see people getting murdered in a movie. I mean, come on. Listen. In my opinion, it's a parent's decision. It's TV. It's fiction. It's not real. So, who cares? But, I mean, don't bring your kids to see a movie that's for adults. I mean, come on. The Batman emerges from a movie universe now becoming ubiquitous where a phony funeral view is the only thing that can confer depth. Wow, you're very good at this, aren't you? I wish they had taken the time to develop Bruce as a real person with feelings and emotions. Even in a dark and brooding film noir, there's still moments where the characters can breathe and connect. Okay, It just seems like they went for the darkest, broodiest emo Batman there is. And I think we all kind of expected that to a certain degree based on the trailers and the descriptions. And oh my god, is this even gonna be good? I'm feeling a little bit worried about it right now. Feeling a little bit nervous. It doesn't sound bad. It just sounds like they tried to do something that's already been done to a certain degree. Guys, I'm still waiting for the actor in Gotham to be old enough to play an older, brooding Batman. I'm still waiting, because he was great. It's not kid-friendly. Yeah, oh my god! Gee, who could have imagined that by looking at the fucking the poster? That's right, it doesn't show the poster on stupid Rotten Tomatoes. Viewer discretion is advised, you snowflakes. So it's true. I mean, we're not sitting here reviewing a movie that's marketed towards kids. It's marketed towards adults. It's supposed to be for adults. Again, I think that it's all up to a parent if they want to bring a kid to see the Batman. I mean, go for it if you want to, but... I agree. I wish the Batman was rated R, and that's a problem that I had. That's a problem that I had leading up to this release, because at first it sounded like they were gonna go and they were going to make it rated R, and then we found out that it's not rated R, and also they banned smoking in the movie, so like Penguin can't smoke now, which is absolutely ridiculous in my opinion. Like, come on. You can have murder in a movie, but not smoking? Anyway. But, yeah. I wish that they had just kind of went all out and they had made it rated R. I understand that there's always a toss-off, or there's a toss between, if they give it a lower rating, then it could potentially reach more people, and it can reach teenage audiences. But at the same time, if they make it rated R, they could have a success like Joker, where it was quite an intense movie for many different reasons, and they didn't hold back with any themes, they didn't hold back with any elements, they did what they wanted to do, and that was that. But right now, at least, it's looking like the critic reviews are pretty solid for the Batman. Again, guys, like I have said, and like I always say, take everything with a grain of salt. If you think that it sounds good, go and watch it for yourself. I personally do not judge movies based on critic reviews alone. Sometimes the critics can love a movie and it's terrible, and sometimes vice versa. Sometimes the critics hate a movie and it is absolutely amazing. I haven't decided yet if I'm gonna go and see it this weekend. I'm kind of on the fence with it. I want to see it on one hand, but at the same time, I'm just not sure if I'm going to go yet. But of course, when I do see it, I will let you guys know. I most likely will go see it at some point here, probably over the weekend. But yeah, that's all that I really had to discuss with the Batman. Right now, it's sitting at an 87% critic, which is pretty good. That is pretty solid. So only time will tell. We'll have to see ultimately what happens, and if it stays this high, if it drops, if the user score is going to be anywhere close to it. It doesn't come out for a couple more days, but only time will tell. Yeah, similar rules for video games. Sometimes no smoking, sometimes no alcohol. I personally think that it's pretty dumb. I mean, I think it's dumb. I mean, it's a movie where there's people killing people. Is it really that terrible that someone is smoking or drinking an alcoholic beverage? No, I personally don't really think that it's some terrible, awful thing that needs to be censored from media, but yeah. We'll have to see. Joker was quite the financial success. Very true. It was very successful. It did very well, and hey, I still want a Joker too. On one hand, I understand that when it comes to sequels, sometimes they're very bad, and I have faith that they can make a Joker sequel that was good. but we still don't know if they're actually going to make it. They said that they were going to, but apparently behind the scenes, they've gotten really nowhere with negotiations as far as we are aware. So we'll have to see what happens. Maybe one day. Yeah, I mean, Rotten Tomatoes, take everything on Rotten Tomatoes with a grain of salt, but just in general, I don't really take critic scores seriously anymore, and I haven't for a long time. Critic scores, they are all over the place. Good movies, they rate terribly. Terrible movies, they rate amazing. Thank you, Hearn, for the CA5. Batman, Punisher, Daredevil should be rated R. There's a lot of superhero movies for kids. Yeah, and I think that it's fine to have more family-friendly superhero movies. I don't think that you need to have every single one be dark, mysterious, and have brooding characters. I think that it's fine to have more family-friendly superhero movies that are just PG-13 or something. But I think that there are definitely characters that the rated R really works. Like Batman, Punisher, Daredevil, like you're saying, Joker. I think that it's good when we get that balance. I like having that balance, personally. There are some people who say, I want all movies to be only adult rated, and some people who say, I want all movies to be family-friendly rated, but we get what we get. Shut up, consume product, and move to the next. That's what they want. That's what they want. I hope they don't make a Joker 2 with how Joker ended. There's no need for one. I agree that there's no need for one, but if they're going to go ahead and make one, which of course, it's no surprise that they want to because it's going to make them money, hopefully they think as much as the first movie made. But I like Joker so much, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing a continuation of the story and a second movie. But yeah, I do agree that it doesn't need to have a sequel. But I'd be excited over a sequel. Critic score 87, audience score none. This shows that people don't care for this movie at all or they're hiding it. No, Juby, not at all. It hasn't released yet in theaters. There can't be an audience score when it technically hasn't released in theaters yet. It doesn't release until Friday. There might be showings on Thursday because a lot of movies now have showings on Thursday, but it hasn't released yet. Punisher is now woke. That sucks. What isn't woke, though? I think that that's a good place to start. What isn't woke? That's the $1 million. That's the $1 million question. The Batman releases March 4th. Yes, it doesn't come out for a couple more days. So there can't be an audience score yet. It says that there's audience score ratings, but they're not actually real. It's just people leaving reviews, either giving it 1 stars or 5 stars. So they're not actually real reviews. Good question indeed. It is, for sure, for sure. Alright guys, next we are going to move into Crunchyroll. Guys, you know, over the past couple years, I've talked about a lot of anime. I've talked a lot about Sony, Funimation, Crunchyroll. I've talked about the purchase of Crunchyroll, of Funimation. And there is a pretty big update that was put out today. I didn't see it until a couple of hours ago. But it is brand new. Lots to talk about here. Very worrying. Well, I guess realistically there's not all that much to talk about, because a lot of it is just information we already know, like the initial purchase. But, as you guys know, I've talked about this before, back in 2020, the very end of 2020, we found out that AT&T had confirmed the sale of Crunchyroll to Sony's Funimation. There has been a lot of information releasing over the past couple months, past year, There's been a lot of rumors floating around about what Sony would end up doing with Crunchyroll, with Funimation. What would happen to these two entities? And now we're getting quite a big update that was released today. This is a Variety article. It says Crunchyroll is adding all Funimation anime content. Sony starts to phase out the Funimation brand. Now, this was a pretty big speculation that one of these entities would be, and one of these brands would be phased out. We weren't sure which it was going to be. We could all take a good guess. Your guess would have been as good as mine. But today it was announced that Sony is phasing out Funimation. So it says Sony is effectively merging its two anime streaming services, announcing that Crunchyroll subscribers will have access to library and simulcast content previously available exclusively on Funimation starting March 1st. And it's true. If you go onto the website and you go onto the streaming service, there's now a tab that allows you to access all of that content. It says the move brings more than 1,600 hours from more than 50 newly added titles in Funimation's lineup to Crunchyroll, while Sony said it wouldn't be raising prices on Crunchyroll's packages for now. This is a worry for people. A big worry is that with the merging, we could potentially, as consumers, see raises in prices and pretty high raises. I mean, look at Netflix. I mean, they recently raised their prices by a couple of dollars. People were pretty mad over that. But it's as the company said, future new series will be exclusive to Crunchyroll starting April 1st, and Funimation will only continue to add new episodes of current series. So, of course, if you have them individually, things are definitely changing. As of April 1st, new series will be exclusive to Crunchyroll. It says Sony's Funimation Global Group bought Crunchyroll for $1.175 billion in cash from AT&T, a deal that closed in August 2021, bringing together two former rivals. Under Sony's ownership, the anime division has now been redubbed Crunchyroll LLC, operated as a joint venture between Sony Pictures Entertainment and Aniplex, a subsidiary of Sony Music Entertainment Japan Incorporated. We've talked quite a few times now about what could happen between Crunchyroll, Funimation, and what Sony will ultimately do. Now, over the years, I've talked about a lot of situations with Funimation. This was one from 2020. Funimation's upcoming physical release of Azure Lane anime will be heavily censored. I talked about this when it happened back in February 2020. Interspecies Reviewers is canceled on Funimation. There have been a lot of situations with censorship, with dialogue being changed, with imagery being changed, characters and scenes being changed. And this, while it is good, on one hand, for people who might pay for a lot of subscriptions every month, they pay for Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, they pay for Funimation, Crunchyroll, all of them, there's plenty, High Dive. It is good that now, of course, you're minusing one on the subscription count, and that's one less subscription you have to pay for. I mean, Sony holds a bit of a monopoly now when it comes to Western anime. Of course, there are still other competitors like High Dive. We still have Netflix creating their own anime content, and I'm not saying that Sony is the only one, but they definitely have a giant hand in Western anime at this point, which is, of course, very worrying, especially with how much censorship has gone on with Funimation and Crunchyroll. And obviously, I want to be hopeful. I want things to go well. I want this to work out. I don't want any censorship. I want them to merge these together and it be everything that people can want and more. Get all of this content on one platform. Have to pay less subscriptions, even though I think for sure I would bet that they will raise the subscription prices in a couple of months. I think that it's good that for now, of course, people can pay for one less subscription. But at the same time, it is very worrying seeing track records here seeing them basically, as it says, start to phase out the Funimation brand. And again, there's still a lot here that we don't know. There's still a lot that we could speculate on. Is there going to be a shift in content actually released? Who knows? I would guess that they will continue to follow the path that they have been following, and that's, unfortunately, censoring things that they think shouldn't be on their platform, that are too graphic for their platform, too bad for their platform. But only time will tell. I mean, I remember this situation. Funimation had removed interspecies reviewers from its streaming service due to it falling outside of the company's standards. That was their excuse, company standards. And that's something that Crunchyroll has said before as well. Oh, we don't censor anime. They just force companies to censor their content. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's wording here. Oh yeah, they don't censor anything, they just force other people to censor it. I know a lot of people are very, very worried about this, and I understand why. As an anime lover myself, I do not feel very confident in the fact that Sony now has control of the Western anime market. I mean, they've got a huge pull on it now. I want to be positive. I want to say maybe it'll work out. Only time will tell. But guys, that's all that I really had to discuss with that topic. I am going to be doing a video on this tomorrow, so I will have more in-depth thoughts. I'll have a lot more to talk about, so make sure to watch that video tomorrow. But that's all that I really had to discuss tonight with Crunchyroll and Funimation. Yeah, let me scroll up. You need competition, Monopoly is bad. Well, in my opinion, yeah, Monopoly bad. Competition good. They don't care, though. Crunchymation. Yeah, there are some nightmare names that they could have used. There's some nightmare fuel they could have went with. Since Funimation will get absorbed into Crunchyroll, the question remains if animes that licensed by Funimation and Crunchyroll will still be released physically on DVD and Blu-ray. True, that is a very good question. Lots of questions we do not have answered. I'd seen a tweet about it, and I didn't get to really look into it or research it before stream, since I saw it right before stream. But apparently on third-party selling websites like eBay and stuff, Funimation exclusive series that were released physically on DVD and Blu-ray are spiking in price right now because people are freaking out about it. I cannot confirm nor deny. I'm just telling you guys the information that I've seen. But that one surprised me. Disney should be broken up into several companies. I guess I'll have to learn Japanese and find the original versions of these anime. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are definitely feeling that way right now. A lot of people are very worried about the future of I was gonna say Western anime. Of anime coming to the West. But yeah, what do you guys think about the situation? Are you feeling hopeful? Are you worried? Are you skeptical? I think most of us are pretty skeptical. But, I don't know, maybe there's some people out there who have a lot of hope and faith in Sony. I am not one of those people. Sony, great. I don't know what is worse, Crunchyroll or Funimation, as both have shown clear disdain to their fans of anime. It's true. That is a problem. They equally have hated their consumers and fans of anime. So why not just put it all into one steaming shit pile? Good. Dub is bad for you. It's just personal preference if people like sub or dub. We're not elitists over here. If you like dub, that's fine. If you like sub, that's fine. Do whatever you want. Enjoy life. I'll just stick to manga. Fair enough. Honestly, I agree. I'm right there with you. Oh, my chair's stuck. LOL Vera? What? LOL? LOL? Laugh out loud. What? Why am I getting laughed at, chat? What the fuck? Rude? What am I getting laughed at for? Amazon should also be broken up. Listen, we could sit here for the rest of our lives talking about companies that could get broken up. And there will always be a new one. I guess we'll see what happens. What Sony needs to do is do more in-depth looking into both companies. Put time and effort into something when they could just smash it all together and say, go at it? Why would they do that? Oh. Some steaming, shit pile. Yeah, that's it's me, guys. Welcome to Vera's Hot Takes. I don't even think it's a hot take, though, to be honest. I feel like a lot of people hate Crunchyroll, a lot of people hate Funimation, and they're just fucking throwing them all together, seeing what happens, seeing if it goes well or if it's an absolute fucking disaster of a situation. Probably the latter, but we'll see. But yeah, guys, next we're gonna move into Elden Ring. We'll talk about Elden Ring for a few minutes. Ah, chat. Game, quote, journalists are, looking dumb. looking fucking stupid again. For legal purposes, guys, I have nothing personal against these individuals. These people who are labeling themselves game journalists, I have nothing against them personally. I haven't talked to them. I don't know them. But I'm going to fairly criticize the bullshit that they put online. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry out there. For the one game journalists who might have watched me in the past. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for offending you. I should have never had been mean. Have been mean? I never should have been mean. Yeah, I said it right. Elden Ring! Hey guys, listen, I'm itching for some Elden Ring. I haven't played Elden Ring since the last stream on Saturday. I was gonna say Thursday, and then I'm like, what the fuck do you mean Thursday, dumbass? It's Tuesday. This is what Martin did instead of finishing. Well, listen. Yes. He only had... They basically admitted what I had said a couple weeks ago. Like, I bet that he barely wrote anything. It is true, though. Like, that he barely wrote anything. He just kind of wrote the base story. Which, of course, is just... Haha, it's about a ring. Who could have guessed that would have been the story that he wrote? So unique and original. Gee golly. He basically took Tolkien's work and said, I'm gonna copy your homework, but make it slightly different so that I don't get sued. Guys, I'm the best game journalist there fucking is. Guys, I actually play video games. I guess to be a game journalist, you don't play games. So I guess I'm automatically disqualified? I suppose. Alright, chat, let's move into Elden Ring. Now, as you guys know, Elden Ring released last week. I did a video the other day on Elden Ring and game journalists trying to find any reason under the sun to attack the game and to cancel the game and the developers for the most part. I talked about how there were journalists saying, oh, the game fails black people, talking about how...
Now that Elden Ring is safely out, I bet George is back to busily working away on Winds of Winterlaw.
Oh, sure. Sure, Christopher. Busily working away on Winds of Winter. LOL. Laugh out loud. Thank you, Christopher, for the $10 donation. Best laugh I'll get of the night. Winds of Winter will release maybe in our lifetimes, if we're lucky. But, like I was saying, thank you again for the donation, guys. Game journalists were attacking Elden Ring, saying, oh, It fails black players. It's rooted in Dark Souls racism and misogyny and sexism. Oh, the game's too hard. They are trying to find any reason they can to get people to hate Elden Ring and to cancel Elden Ring. And game journalists never cease to amaze me. We see game journalists complain about games. Oh, this game is too hard. The story isn't good enough. The writing isn't good enough. The representation isn't good enough. They will find anything they can to complain about popular video games, especially popular video games that they cannot beat. And now, to absolutely no one's surprise, there are full articles releasing from bloggers crying because they don't want to take the time to learn Elden Ring. They think that it's very unfair that they didn't put an easy mode into the game. And this is a banger, banger of an article. Elden Ring's world is full of mystery, but I'd rather wait for a guide. A game journalist saying, I'm not gonna play the game when their job is to play games and talk about games until someone puts out a guide. This is such fucking backwards logic. So, as a game journalist, in my opinion, would be being someone who plays games as soon as possible to put out articles, videos, reviews, analysis of games to get clicks. That is what I would think a game journalist would be. Instead, game journalists are waiting for individuals online or even other news outlets to play a game first for a guide so that they can follow the guide and then review the game to make money off of the articles that they didn't learn themselves because they read guides? What is this logic? This is a tweet thread that I saw. It says, this whole article is a blogger crying because they don't have the capacity to learn a game. Also, it does tell you how stats work. At the bottom of the status menu is literal text telling you to push a specific button to see descriptions. Let's be reasonable. Elden Ring is not the greatest game of all time. Elden Ring is getting rave reviews, but mainly from software veterans. And that's clouding the critical judgment. I don't really care about the difficulty. It should be more accessible in terms of having more settings that allow disabled players to play it. But I don't mind a game being too tough for me to play comfortably. But it does. Oh, excuse me. But it doesn't feel like this is difficulty done well. Returnal is a hard game, and it keeps its story wrapped up in complex mythos that it doesn't expect you to understand right off the bat. In those ways, it's similar to Elden Ring. But Returnal invites new players to come in and try it, see if they can handle the heat of the kitchen. Elden Ring throws a pan of boiling water at you and scoffs at you for not knowing you were supposed to crouch on the way to the kitchen. From Software games are known for being very difficult, for taking time to learn. This is a 80-hour game. You're not meant to know everything right off the bat, even as a Souls veteran. As someone who's played all the Souls games, and all the From Software titles that are similar, or the Souls-like games, I should say, there's still things in Elden Ring that I don't know, that a lot of people don't know, because it's a new franchise. It's not supposed to be Dark Souls 4, it's not supposed to be Demon Souls 2, it's supposed to be Elden Ring. But it is based off of Souls games. It's a Souls-like title, and it's not supposed to be easy. And I do think the difficulty is done well. It says, but the hugely demanding difficulty, necessity of repeated failure, and complete lack of a fuck given for helping new players understand even an inch of his massive open world, cannot be dismissed as get good, especially if we're talking about this not only the early frontrunner for all the major end-of-year awards, but also the greatest game of all time. Listen. There are a lot of games where there is a necessity for repeated failure. I mean, look at the whole genre of... I mean, I don't even want to get into it. There's so many different types of games that you're not supposed to instantly know. I mean, any new franchise, you're not supposed to instantly know everything. And I do want to point out that, like, not every game, again, has to be easy, but it's got a very well done, in my opinion, tutorial. It's not like they just shove you into the world, don't give you a quest log, don't give you lore and details, don't give you a story to work with. They don't tell you how to use any controls. No, the game does have a pretty in-depth tutorial system. And the beginning of the game isn't even really that difficult combat-wise. I mean, the first couple areas are literally to start you off by going, hey, listen, you might be new to this. You can take time, you can over-level yourself, you can cheese your way through the game, you can find super overpowered weapons and shields and armor pretty early on. You can Google how to cheese your way through Elden Ring, and there are plenty of ways. Obviously, yes, at the end of the day, you're going to have a little bit of skill, because you have boss fights that are hard, and that are difficult, and that are not supposed to be easy, but that doesn't mean that the game is bad, or that it's terrible. It's literally this journalist not wanting to take time to learn how the game works, which is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, you guys see, I stream tons of new games here on the channel. Whether they're sequels, it's a trilogy of games, maybe it's a brand new franchise. There are plenty of times, as someone who is, I would consider myself a gaming veteran, right? Like, I've played games my whole entire life of all different kinds on plenty of different systems. Like, I would say I'm pretty good at games. I'm someone who can pick up a Souls game and do relatively well. But there's still plenty of games that I don't know everything right off the bat. And that's just how it goes with literally anything. When you're picking up a new book for the first time and you don't know anything about it, of course it's going to take you time to learn. You're going to have to go back and, oh, who is this character? Go back to specific pages. Some people take notes. That's just how it goes, though. You're not going to instantly remember everything the first time around. You're not going to do everything instantly perfectly the first time around. And that's okay. Yes, this game is difficult, and there is a necessity of repeated failure because you die and you have to restart, but that is literally just video games. There are times where you get to a certain point, it might be too difficult, you die, you have to go back to a previous save point, and you have to restart. That's just video games. That's anything in life. You don't just fall down once and give up and go, oh, this is way too hard for me. I can't deal with this. I can't do this. That's not how it goes. You take your time, you learn the systems, the way that they present it to you. Maybe you do have to go to YouTube and you have to look up a guide. Maybe you do have to look up strategies. That's okay. No one's attacking you for that. Or they shouldn't, I should say. Is it that difficult to understand? I also wanted to show off this article, a banger of an article by The Verge. Elden Ring's world is full of mystery, but I'd rather wait for a guide. So a game journalist who is supposed to put out articles on video games and who is supposed to play video games and present new players and people in the industry with just general information on a title, is literally admitting that they're not going to do that. They're not going to play a game, and they're not going to give people their first impressions of a title because they're waiting for a guide to hold their hand. And again, it is perfectly fine if, as an individual, you want to use a guide and read a guide and you want to wait for a guide. But as a game journalist, as someone who gets paid to play video games and talk about video games, you're not going to play a game until someone else has put out a guide for it? I mean, that's pretty ridiculous. Like, what? It says, it seems like everyone, even people who don't usually partake in From Software games, is playing Elden Ring. It's currently the 7th most played game on Steam based on a number of concurrent players and has a score of 97 on Metacritic, putting it on track to be this year's highest rated game. And while I have enjoyed the bits of Elden Ring I've played, I'm not too keen on joining the rest of my tarnished colleagues in the lands between just yet. I'm gonna wait for the guide writers, speedrunners, and wiki editors to catch up because from my dabblings in From Software games, I know that in order to truly enjoy Elden Ring, I'm going to need a lot of help that just doesn't exist yet. I mean, I understand that sometimes games don't hold your hand and you need to look up, oh, where's this specific boss? Oh, is this in a game? Like the other day, I was playing Elden Ring and I looked up if a specific item was in the game. We wanted the pumpkin helmet. And I went to Google and typed in, has anyone seen if this pumpkin helmet is obtainable? And the answer was yes. And that's fine to do. Again, I don't think that that's a problem. But I've played, I mean, I would say, so the Demon's Souls remake, when that came out, I had played it, and I didn't need any guides for it. And of course, when I originally played the first Demon's Souls game before they remade it, I didn't look up any guides for it. And I believe at least my first Dark Souls game that I ever played, Dark Souls 1, when I had played it for the first time, I never looked up any guides. Maybe in like 2 and 3, I had looked up like, oh, is there a specific strategy that I'm missing for a boss or something? But I don't feel like you need to look up oh, it's required that there be a guide on this game before people should play it. Like, no, that's not how it should go. Elden Ring is a game that's meant to be mysterious. Yeah, that's the whole point of it. It's open world. You're supposed to just go around and explore and enjoy your time with it and see what it has to offer you. That is half of the experience. It says the real fun isn't just in defeating the challenging bosses, but it's also from the wonder of accidental discovery. Yet this person is literally saying, but I don't want to do any of that because I just want a guide to walk me through it. You're supposed to be a game journalist. This is why people do not take game journos seriously, because they're putting out articles like this. It says, but I don't want to be surprised in Elden Ring. What? That's half the excitement, though, is being surprised and excited when you finally discover a new area or a new boss. You're trying something for the first time. It says, with how punishing these games are, surprises usually mean instant death, and instant death in From Software games also means a loss of progress. Hours of work and meticulous rune accumulation suddenly wiped out because of something I wasn't prepared for. I'm gonna be honest, unless you're like at the very end of the game, why are you saving runes? You should be spending runes as much as possible so in case that happens, you don't lose 20,000, 30,000 runes. You should be putting them into your stats as, or gear, whatever, as quickly as possible. It says, hours of work and meticulous rune accumulation wiped out. I understand why some players absolutely love that kind of troll, but that's the kind of stuff that will make me put down a game and never pick it up again. Having a guide helps iron out all the less glamorous bits of gameplay that might turn Elden Ring from an otherwise enjoyable experience into one that makes me want to curse my existence. You are supposed to be going through a game and giving other people articles. Why would I sit and read any of your articles when you're not providing people with any substance here? You are someone who is supposed to be the one writing guides. You're supposed to be telling people how to get certain items, what they're supposed to do in games. This is someone who in the past has put up actual full-on, guides. They've put up information for players. Of course, these are the types of articles they write now. Elden Ring's character creators failing black players they wrote an article about a game failing black players when they admitted that they're not even playing the game because they're waiting for a guide. Like, how does that make sense? Anyway, guys, as you can see, just another day in the world of game journalists. They're writing articles complaining about a game not doing something good enough, yet they also write an article the day after admitting that they're not playing the game that they were complaining 2 days before that they weren't doing enough. It's just a cycle that never ends. I mean, seriously, they wrote an article on the 25th saying, the character creator fails black players as if they actually were playing the game. And, like, they cared about the game and the state of the game. And then a couple days later, they put out an article admitting that they're not playing the game because they're waiting for another journalist to do their job. And put out a guide. I mean, holy shit. Guys, where can I swipe my credit card for some brain cells? Because I'm running low. I'm running on fumes right now, chat. I don't understand. It's like, for me, I do not put out guides for things. I will do a live stream, and I will live stream a playthrough of a game, and if someone asks, hey, can you show me quickly how to do this in a game or that in a game, I do, because I'm taking the time, I'm learning a game, I'm playing a game, I'm happy to help people, but I'm not sitting here putting up videos every day on how to specifically do things in games. That's just not what I do. But this is someone who in the past has put up articles doing traditional game guides, explaining things. They don't really do that anymore from what I understand, but I have seen articles from them in the past of actually doing real game guides. But that's how it goes. That's how it goes, chat. So that's all that I really have to talk about with Elden Ring. I thought we could quickly talk about the OneRing.net really quickly before we end stream. We're not ending for a bit though. Guys, quickly. I just said quickly twice in a row. Guys, before we get into the next topic that I'm only going to briefly mention, if you're enjoying the stream, make sure to give it a like. If you're not, give it a dislike. Consider donating via Streamlabs. All donations pop up. $3 or more text-to-speech activates. Please consider becoming a member of the channel via YouTube memberships. You get a fancy badge next to your name, access to channel-specific emotes. You get a special title in the Discord server and access to a special channel in our Discord server. And all of that you get as well if you become a Patreon. All of the links are in the description. I appreciate all the support. Next week, on the 9th, I believe. Yes, on the 9th, I will be doing the supporter-only live stream. We'll be hanging out for a few hours, doing Q&A, playing some video games, hanging around chatting. So yeah, check out the links in the description. Become a member via YouTube memberships. Dark Titan via Patreon. I appreciate all of the support. It does all help. So chat, we'll talk about the OneRing.net in just a moment. This is just something interesting that happened. That I don't know if I'll do a video on yet. I might. Because people are pretty fucking furious, and I understand why. These game journalists hate their job. Yeah, I mean, they're hacks. They're game journalists because they can't make it for other websites. They can't make it in other industries. It's like they shove political opinions into pieces and experiences that they've had in the real world because they can't get hired by, like, politicos, and they can't get hired by the websites they want to get hired by. The new LOTR is woke AF. Yeah, I've talked about the Rings of Power quite a few times on the channel. Between live streams and videos and everyone. I'm not feeling very hopeful right now. But the OneRing.net is a pretty woke organization. I've talked about them in other videos. They are a group of people who like to take Tolkien's work, twist it around, and use it to push the narratives they want to push. And of course, with the Rings of Power, Amazon is treating them like they're amazing because they are willing to shill for the Rings of Power. They are people who are like, oh, it's completely fine if you want to not follow source material, if you want to change around his work, that's okay, modernize it. And they decided to put out this post titled, "Thankful for the incredibly talented actors who are bringing Middle-earth's second age to life. Like all the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit actors before, they are the next big stars who first bring their best to Tolkien's legendarium. Happy that these first looks came during Black History Month." Okay. Happy that these first looks came during Black History Month. The problem here is that they have I'm gonna show it. They have a photoshopped image here. So this is one of the characters we know that they released an image of for the Rings of Power. It's a new, original Amazon character. Here's the next one. This is the Dwarven Princess, who is not accurate at all to what Dwarven women were described as by Tolkien. Oh no. Oh no, it's so bad. And this is Lenny Henry. He is going to be playing a Harfoot Elder in the Rings of Power. They have not officially released images of him yet. So this makes no sense. They're saying happy these first looks came during Black History Month. This isn't a first look. This is a photoshopped image. They took this man's face and put him over one of the promotional images from the Hobbit movies. Just imagine, guys. Just imagine if someone took an image of a black actor and photoshopped a white man's face over it. There would be people on social media that would be furious. They would call for cancellation, demand images be taken down. They would mass flag it and mass report it. This is not a real image. They literally just took this actor's face and photoshopped it over another actor's photo. All to virtue signal. Saying, oh, we're so proud of Amazon doing so much with Rings of Power. Because, of course, again, they're Amazon shills. This is an Amazon shill site. And that's what they decided to do. It's not even a good Photoshop, first of all, may I add. It's a terrible Photoshop. But I wanted to read just a couple of the comments, because, of course, people are pretty pissed. This one says, I'm assuming there's no official look at Lenny Henry, given that the photo used seems to have his head photoshopped onto a studio shot of Martin Freeman. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, yes, this is what we got. From the OneRing.net, we got photoshopped images. I don't know if they truly and genuinely thought that this was a real image, because in their post it literally sounds like they think it's a real image. I don't know if they realize that it's photoshopped. I bet they do, though. How bad is that Photoshop of Lenny Henry? It does him absolutely no justice, at least in my opinion. If I was someone who was literally the biggest shill for the Rings of Power, right? I wouldn't be sharing unofficial images like that, because it's misleading to people, and they're probably going to get mad at you being like, you're really sharing photoshopped images? That's not an officially released image. Someone said they're not bringing anything to Tolkien's Legendarium because the Amazon series is not canon, just really expensive fanfiction. I mean, it is true at this point, it's basically just fanfiction. They don't have rights to specific characters, to specific storylines. They don't have a lot of the rights, so, like, it basically is just a big fanfiction. It says, how much did Amazon pay for your dignity? Honestly, it's probably a very low price because they have always been pretty terrible. The people behind the OneRing.net have gone on social media. They've attacked people who disagree with their opinions, who disagree with their stances, and it's happened time and time again. The Amazon treatment of Lord of the Rings is a woke joke of the highest order and a total disgrace to all things Tolkien. It's a shame that this is what they're doing. That this is the best that they could come up with. This is the best that they could release. It says, LOL, is it really celebrating Black History Month when you use a photoshopped image of a black man's face over a white man's body? Plus, where's the beard on the dwarf? Yeah, it's... again, I don't think that they should have done it at all. Because it's literally just copy and pasting one person's face onto another person's face. But it's... they already photoshopped it, so why not try to photoshop it even more? One Photoshop to fool them all. It's true. Why does the elf not have long hair? Why is the dwarf not bearded? Why is the hobbit just a photoshopped head on Bilbo Baggins? I can't believe that they thought that this was a good idea. Of course, hilariously enough, they are getting roasted for it, and they deserve it. You shouldn't be putting out photos like that, because people are legitimately going to think that these are real images that just look terrible. It's just... I understand that as one of the largest fan groups for Lord of the Rings, or so is said, that they want to naturally be excited for this series, but I truly do not think that any Tolkien scholars, Tolkien superfans, Lord of the Rings superfans would or should be praising the fact that Amazon and these writers are taking Tolkien's source material, completely shoving it out the fucking window to create original characters and to create original storylines. Imagine using a fake photo of Sir Lenny Henry, calling it a first look, and calling him one of the next big stars who first bring their best to Tolkien. Your site used to have a clue of what it talked about. What happened? They're getting completely roasted, and it's too fucking funny. Why is that photo montage of Lenny Henry's face over a promo pic of Bilbo Baggins being used alongside official posters? It's highly misleading. Yeah, I agree. I do not think that they should be posting an unofficial image next to official images, because it does come across as like, oh my gosh, this is real. If I didn't know that this was Bilbo, I just think that this was a very poorly executed photo. You know what I mean? Like, clearly you can see the outlines. It's not that great of an edit. But I guess they don't really care, because as long as it helps them push their narrative, that's all they care about. So guys, with that being said, that's all that I really had to discuss tonight. We talked about Lord of the Rings. We talked about Elden Ring. Wow, a couple similarities there. We talked about Crunchyroll and Funimation, we talked about the Batman, and we talked about the Beyblade live action. I'm gonna hang out for a couple more minutes, guys, so if you have any questions you'd like to ask, or topics you'd like me to discuss, feel free to leave them in the chat. I'd be happy to answer any questions or topics you guys want me to answer and talk about. But with that being said, I will be wrapping up stream in a couple minutes. I think we had a pretty successful night chat. Well, listen. Listen. Lots of funny topics. I just can't fucking believe that they did this. They literally fucking photoshopped this guy's face over Bilbo Baggins. I cannot believe it. Why would they do this? Why would they do this to my Hobbit? What if it is official? It is not official. That would be funny, but it's not official. Yeah, they haven't released any images of him yet. Rings of Power. I don't know why. But yeah. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll see him. Maybe if we're lucky. If we're lucky. Yeah. That's what they all say. Any more Elden Ring streams coming up? Yes, over the weekend I will be streaming some Elden Ring, guys. I streamed it last week on Friday and Saturday, and I haven't streamed it since then, and I haven't played it since then, but over the weekend I will be streaming some more Elden Ring. I'm really excited to make some more progress to become the real Pumpkin Lord, and yeah, I've been kind of itching to play it. I haven't played it anymore since I was on stream, but I've been wanting to. I'm waiting for a guide. A guide on what? How to fuck up Lord of the Rings? Or a guide on how to play a video game that you can just play yourself and learn? Which one? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can't help but dunk on these types of people. This is High Guardian Spice levels of Photoshop. Hey, maybe we'll get High Guardian Spice Season 2 one day. I highly doubt it. What a fucking disaster. Need more Elden Ring? Yeah, I'll definitely be streaming some more Elden Ring over the weekend. I had a ton of fun with it. Obviously, yes, there were problems, and we've talked about it. Unfortunately, stuttering, drops, crashes. But I know that they have put out some new... They have put out some new patches since the weekend, and I'm really hoping that they will be good enough. I got the pumpkin helmet on my first try. Banned. Cancelled. Done. Trent, what? Oh man, it took me 7. It took me 7 tries. But I got it. I fucking got it. And I'm gonna wear it for the rest of the fucking game. Unless I get something that is a trillion times better, I'm gonna wear it the whole game. And I am definitely putting it on for the last boss fight. I don't care what other gear I have that's better. The light levels alone in that picture is insulting. Yeah, well, that's what happens when you decide to Photoshop people's faces onto other people's bodies. I mean, it's not like the worst Photoshop ever, just the edges. Clearly, you can see there's like the line around it. They didn't try to equal out the colors at all, the shades at all, the lighting at all. I mean, hey, they were the ones that put this next to official posters, so clearly they're not that smart. Pumpkin helm, fuck the world. I love the fucking pumpkin helm. For the win for sure. Need more Elden Ring? Yeah, I'm really excited to play more of it. Have you guys played much? That pumpkin helm was indeed amazing. It is fucking great. I still need to figure out if there's a mace. Because I didn't see anything on Google. Wow, a good time to actually Google something. I didn't see anything when we had looked it up to see if anyone else had gotten it. Elden Ring pumpkin head mace. Because that's what it is, right? A mace? You guys were saying you thought? Yeah, I haven't seen anything on it. Break my heart. That would be so fucking cool, though. Holy shit. But alright, you guys. With that being said, I am going to wrap up the live stream here. Thank you all so much for stopping by tonight. I do appreciate it. If you haven't seen the past couple days worth of videos, I've talked about so much stuff. I've talked about Elden Ring. I've talked about Lord of the Rings. I've talked about comic books. I've talked about live actions, lots of different things. Go and check out those videos. Thank you guys for the donations tonight, for the support tonight. I do really appreciate it. Again, if you enjoy the content, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month, or supporting via YouTube channel memberships. You do get access to a special server in or special channel in our Discord server. You get access to special emojis. All of the support really does help. Next week I will be doing a supporter-only live stream, which will be really, really fun. I don't know what I'm going to play yet or what we're going to talk about. We'll definitely see. Join our Discord server. We're very active there. And of course, I do tag you all when I go live in case YouTube doesn't notify you. Follow my Twitch account, even though I do not exclusively stream on Twitch. The live streams are mirrored there, and you can go over, follow the Twitch, and then turn notifications on. So in case YouTube doesn't notify you of a live stream, Twitch will notify you of a live stream, and then you can come over to the YouTube channel. But yeah, join our Discord server, follow me on social media, Twitter, Minds, BitChute, Odyssey, join us on Patreon, join us on YouTube memberships, and with that being said, I'm gonna wrap up the stream here. Thank you all so much for the support tonight, for hanging out. Thank you, everyone, and have a fantastic evening.